Whoa. Tired of living broke, so before I sleep, I pray.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Crab Legs and Kool-Aid. It's your boy Titus, early making, baby, where we do this little podcast here to get to know the humans behind the art, right? Because we do enough podcasts and enough interviews where people are talking about what their next project is. We know, you do cool stuff. Who are you? Who are you? And who is she is what we about to be.
Hey, Mars.
Yo, who I got with me today, y'all. Let me tell you something. She don't know this, but I'm very excited. Actually, she probably do know this. Yo, my whole family is excited, okay? You got fans. We from Georgia. You got fans in Georgia.
Hey.
I don't know if you've seen her face yet due to however this cut's going to go. But if you haven't, the person sitting with me right now is Miss Comfort.
What up?
In the building,
hey.
baby. Okay, Comfort.
What's good, Titus?
Pronounce your last name.
Fedoke. So if you need help with Comfort, it can be like okie dokie Fedoke.
It's Fedoke.
Fedoke.
Your whole career, and I say that quite literally because since you already know where we're going, since So You Think,
Oh my God.
literally always said Comfort Fedoke.
No, Comfort Fedoke.
Like
That's why,
okey-doke.
yeah, so that's why I would always be like, when people would say that, because it would happen that way
Yeah.
too. And I would be like, okay, just to remember, you'd be like okie dokie Fedoke.
Fedoke. Where does it stem from? Do you know?
Yeah, so I'm half Nigerian, so I'm from West Africa.
Ooh.
And so my my
culture.
first name is from my grandmother. So my grandmother's name is Comfort. So I'm named after my father's mother. And
Pause. Father's mother. That sounded northern.
Isn't that crazy? Because
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to tell you, I've lived in so many different places that I just have too many different accents. Something might change a couple times.
You might catch a few different
a couple of different sides, just a little bit. But no, Fedoke is I'm a West African Nigerian last name.
And to be all up in your government status, but
Hey.
is your middle name something unique?
Ogene Ururo.
Stop it.
It took me about all my life to learn how to spell my middle name.
Wait, is
You
this
could-
real?
Yeah.
I love that. Say it again.
Ogene Ururo.
Say your full name.
Comfort Ogene Ururo Fedoke.
Like this is on your ID card.
Yes.
Like this is your name.
This is the long name.
That's fire.
11 letters. Yep. I ain't gonna count right now. Ogene
Ogene
Ururo.
Ururo.
Yeah. Ideally, you want to roll the R.
That's fire. Y'all. But anyway, welcome, Comfort.
Hey,
Thank you
thanks.
for real for doing this. Because
Aw.
y'all, we had a whole different setup plan, but she still slid through and supported your boy and came through here and was like, let's vibe. Come on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm glad to be here, man.
So I like to start every episode
Okay.
with a quote of the day.
Ooh.
So I'm going to drop us in deep right from
Okay.
the jump.
Oh.
You ready?
Oh.
Okay. And then, so after I say the quote, let me know what you feel about it, what it does to
hits.
you.
Okay. Let me digest then.
That part. Okay. This is actually, it's kind of a question quote.
Oh.
You'll see what I mean in a second.
Okay.
You're seeking validation from the world when the world crucified a perfect man. Now, depending on your spiritual space, where you stand, what you believe, what you understand. For me, everybody has different beliefs out there. Jesus Christ all day. Okay. So for me, I'm like, why am I seeking validation from the world? AKA, I want you to like my story. I want you to love my music. I want you to do all these things. And I'm always putting out, I dropped you in deep. Look, she over there like, she's like, hold on. Okay, hold on.
It's beautiful though.
I want you to approve of me when it, in my belief, couldn't even approve of something quite literally perfect. So it's like, if you were slaying and dragging and hating on something that showed no harm and only love, why do I expect that not to come from you to me? And why do I seek your validation if it's not even valid?
Right.
Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Do you have an opinion?
Yeah, honestly, that hit me on so many different accounts because I would say the same thing. Like I would say Jesus is the first thing I thought about.
Right.
And with that, but then also I've grown up in so many different ways where I believe in a higher power regardless because there's so many different religious beliefs that all talk about the same person.
Right.
In what I feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
That.
But yes, that's the first thing I believe that. And I do wonder that. I think I do that in my own career. I think y'all, we constantly are seeking validation. Seeking validation. And it's not that I don't think we're not validating ourselves, but we almost need to be confirmated on something that someone don't even know about yourselves. You know what I mean? But I think there's something about that says, I'm on the right path. Rather than allowing your energy and path and the people that you surround yourself with, or God and Jesus himself, to continue to validate you and say that that's what's happening and you're on the right path. You don't need to be told that you are. But I don't know. I think maybe as human beings, and I think the way we're conditioned, and we have to unlearn that. I think it just comes with being a human. I don't know. I think it just comes with being on this earth. I don't know.
100%. It's like, why not have the strength within our own humanity to trust that the only affirmation we need is from, I'm going to speak once again from my belief, from God, from Jesus. It's like, it will affirm you. So even if you're not into the spiritual space or religion or any of those things, I'm like, you're seeking something. And maybe, okay, actually, let me rephrase that, because as I'm talking, I'm my own thoughts are being clear here. So I would understand more people feeling this way if we didn't look to something outside of ourselves. So if my sole belief was just the people around me are all that there are, all that there is, whatever, then it would make sense as to like, okay, I'm seeking validation because you're the only thing that I believe in, because you're right here in front of me. So like, I need you to approve of me. But knowing that I don't have that belief, why am I? And it comes back to what you said. I'm just putting it in a different form. But I'm like, why do I seek validation? It's like we need it, even though we know it doesn't mean anything. Like, I'm gonna keep going whether you liked my song or not. But I'm gonna want you to like it.
But I want you, but low key, high key, middle key, Alicia keys. I want you to like it.
See?
You know what I mean? Like
That part.
I want you to like
Man.
it. It is a very interesting thing, but I love that quote, and I love these moments because it kind of brings you back into a perspective that like there's something big, there is gonna always be something bigger than ourselves, and that seeking validation and wanting something from someone else who actually doesn't even want nothing from you other than to tear you down and or want what you have.
Right.
Starts to let you see certain people in perspective. You know what I mean? You start to see family in perspective. You know, you start to see all these things in perspective.
Fair warning, I got ADD. So
you
the
and oh my gosh. I think we were just meant to be friends.
Yeah, 100%. Because the way that I'm about to rabbit trail right now, based on something you said, is going to be epic.
Let's go.
Here we go. So have you had, because you said something about people wanting what you have or something, you said something along those lines.
Yeah.
So rabbit trailing, have you experienced stuff like that? And I asked that knowing the answer, because you're in the same industry as me. Have you experienced that? Let's leave it there.
Of course, I've experienced
And how did you deal with it?
Oh, I like to cut people off. I do I'll cut you off, baby.
Say it. Cut your ass off.
Gotta go.
Gotta go.
Not here. But you know what? But I will be honest, it's not that easy. Like, I feel like I'm also a very forgiving heart, and I do, give people the benefit of the doubt. And I am also a person that thinks outside of the box, because I've been through so much in my life that I'm always like, I'm gonna forgive and see that maybe their conditions or what they've been through or what's going on probably made them feel this way. And as long as I can talk to them about it and we can get through it, I can forgive and move forward. But then I started to realize that those same people, I was just seeing that they were just being leeches to the fact that they took my kindness for weakness, basically.
Okay.
Like to just not sum that, I think, all up.
Yes. And to keep it moving on the trail, because you sparked another thought, and I'm asking this from the perspective of somebody who deals with it as well, like as a peer here. I'm like, do you find yourself now in your position, because you have been on TV a lot at this point in your career. So I'm like, do you find yourself coming into new friend settings, new meeting settings, more guarded, anticipating that I know you're probably, this sounds really arrogant, but hear me out. I know you're most likely going to rock with me because you already view me as something worth rocking with. And do you, Comfort, try to weed out people different than you used to in the past before the TV world?
Yeah. You know what? I think I naturally do it without feeling like I'm being standoffish or or having like, oh, I'm better than you. And I know that I know why you're coming to talk to me is because I'm on television, isn't it? No, it's like, I actually don't ever, thankfully I never walk in with that perspective. And but I think I end up naturally having a guard up naturally, but because I'm an extrovert, you will never know.
Pinpoint it.
You know what I mean? I'm an extrovert. I give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and
Yeah.
I give everyone love until you give me a reason not to.
Fair
So
enough.
once I give, and I will immediately take away just that quickly. You
Okay,
know what I mean?
fair.
And that's just out of respect of knowing my boundaries. And as soon as I feel a boundary being like, I think, disrespected, I immediately just record.
Didn't we, the first night we met, okay, another rap show. Let's,
The first night we met, Titus, let me tell you something, Mr. Interviewer.
what was your,
You had me rolling. Because the first time we met, we have a mutual friend, obviously, Jordan. And Jordan, our story of meeting is absolutely crazy.
Which I want to know that too.
Oh my God. We still we can't figure it out.
Really? Okay.
But then we were like hanging out first at his space, and then we were like, okay, we're gonna go to, you know, something downtown or whatever.
Yeah.
He was like, oh yeah, let me see. We'll be watching these videos. We watched this video. It was so random. And I was like, who is this? And it was his little Jordan, looking a little pea-head with his little afro, sitting there singing his song. And then obviously he was like, oh, that's the guy we're going to meet today. That's Titus. That's my boy Titus. And was beatboxing, little Dougie Fresh. I was like, come on. Look at, ain't y'all cute? I was about 10.
Right. Let me tell y'all something.
So meeting you was just so, honestly, it was such a breath of fresh air, because I felt like the first thing I said, because I was such an extrovert, I was like, oh, you know what? I saw you on TV doing little beatbox. And you was like, Jordan, how dare you show that video as my first,
heated, bro.
the first
Because look, here's what we don't know. So I'm coming into the space not knowing anything about Comfort other than TV, right? And for those of y'all who don't know, which, unless you've been dead for the last few years, not even the last few years, like the last decade. I don't know how long. When was So You Think You Can Dance?
Yeah,
is where the jump off happened. And
Yes.
if you wasn't voting for homegirl,
Why?
ha! But what year was that?
Well, that was season 4, hey, and that was
I remember y'all doing that on
2008.
that season.
Yeah, that was
That's
2008.
2008?
That was 2008.
So not even dang. More than a decade. It's giving more than a decade.
Giving more.
But so all the way back to 2000, I was right. Yo, I was on the phone with my friend today, and I was like, I think I've seen Comfort since I've been like out of high school. I graduated in 2007, so I was right.
Yeah.
I was right.
Yeah, so yeah, and as soon as I got out of high school, I went to the show. So I was like 19.
You were
18.
a baby.
Yeah, I was a baby.
Okay, see, this is why we can't talk about stuff like this, because
we get
yeah.
boop, boop,
But okay,
But yes.
So You Think You Can Dance?
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff we're gonna talk. And obviously I keep talking to y'all. I keep talking.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that we're gonna touch on.
Please.
But it runs all the way back to So You Think You Can Dance, and then I'm sure there's a lot of credits in between there. But then we're gonna catch it all the way up to something that y'all might not know about being an associate choreographer on Wicked. So, and there's appropriate lighting behind you. So if you can't find me, the green alphabet lighting behind you. But we're gonna touch back on that because that's huge. And I'm sure that you've had many big jobs and choreography jobs and everything like that, and dancer jobs.
Yeah.
But don't even touch. Don't even touch. Because we're coming back to that.
Yeah, we'll come back. Reconvene.
Because that's big.
Reconvene.
Okay.
But you walked into the space.
I walked into the space. Y'all, circle back. You see how she did me? Good look. So I walked into the space. And all I know about Comfort at this point in my life is So You Think You Can Dance?
Right.
And then anything else I've seen in the midst of that. But as far as like your time on TV. So I don't know if I'm walking into like, you meet all different types of personalities in this industry. You could be all about that.
Yeah.
For all I know. So when I'm coming in and I'm like, the only resume nugget that you dropped is a YouTube video from 2008. And I was like, you ain't want to show her nothing recent? I got stuff.
I said, yes, you was a little beatboxer boy, weren't you? You said, what do you mean?
I said, huh?
What do you mean,
I've been
Jordan? What did
beatboxing
you?
the streets of Hollywood Boulevard.
Yes,
You're
and
like,
that's where you were.
Right. And that's
You were
what
on
I
the
saw.
streets of Hollywood.
It was
Boulevard.
giving,
I loved it.
It was giving
so cute.
potential. It gave, you could see potential.
It was giving, see you soon in a new spot. Like, I love that. I love that for y'all.
But anyway, so walking in, we automatically clicked. I mean, I felt like we did vibes.
We automatically clicked. It was such. I think we both saw with our friend. One of Jordan's friends was like, "Oh snap, you met your match."
Yeah,
like
yes,
everyone kept on saying you met your match, and I was like, and then we had a deep talk there.
Bro,
we went from being on this high of like to both being like, yeah, but I can also be an introvert, and we talked about what it was about being an extrovert and introvert, and I told you that I was an ambivert.
Run that to the people that don't know.
Yes, so an ambivert
Yeah.
is someone who both can be an extrovert and an introvert simultaneously, and or like at times or whatever the case may be. So I'm not always an extrovert, even though in public I present myself as an extrovert. But once I'm gone and away and I'm to myself, I am a complete introvert, and so I can live in both spaces equally, I think. And so I would consider myself an ambivert because of that.
And I'm happy because as we were talking, I believe I was speaking first. And I was this is a problem with mine. Like I babble and ramble and I don't really know what I'm saying until it's done. And then she followed it up with some grammatical terminology that landed. And I was like, type shit. I'm an ambivert. That's me.
He was like, I was like,
that's what I was trying to say. But really though, because as I was saying that night, as we were both kind of saying, and maybe it's from the industry. I remember us talking about this. Maybe it's from starting younger in industry, you're taught, or maybe just in life, maybe in our culture somewhere, I don't know, like, hey, grandma, like you kind of turn on. Yeah. And I've always done that, and I'll leave spaces exhausted.
Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. And I'll be like, I'll get in the car and I'll be like, that was embarrassing. Why was I talking the whole time? Or like, why was I being so big? Yeah. But really though, and I'll leave and I'll be like, wow, who was that? But it is me. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I want you to receive the best version of me because I know you're awesome. I'm gonna meet you with awesome. Yeah. As opposed to sometimes I'm like, how I really feel inside is like, why can't I be awesome like this? Like, why is this not enough? Right. Like even me coming down to this right now in this moment, I'm like, oh, this actually is enough too.
This is enough too. Absolutely. And I think I have that same, and I think that's why we connected so quickly from being like this extrovert person that walked in with all this energy and we served the space and we gave the space, I guess, room to be itself.
Yeah. That's
you know what I mean? And I think that's what.
Such a dancer, choreographer expression. Let the room be, whatever you said.
Itself. But, we set a safe space, I think, like with the energy. And so I think it's nice to know that you can be like up here, but then also you can feel like you can just have a conversation just quietly and deeply and intently and still get the same point across and still walk out not as exhausted as we needed to be because the energies in the room was able to give that. And we gave room for each other to do that. And I think that was what was really lovely.
And I actually like that. Like, people think based on how I present myself in some settings, like super extroverted, that I want to be the center of attention. And that's not the case.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I used to get that a lot.
Mm-hmm. And as I've gotten older, that's changed because now if I don't feel like having energy, I just won't.
Yeah.
But in the older days, I would carry that energy, even when I didn't feel like I would carry it. But something beautiful about meeting you and other people like us is for some reason, when I feel a responsibility to carry the energy of a conversation or an experience, there's the yous that I get to like tap out and I get to like, oh, go ahead, do your thing. Yeah. Like, and it's like, ooh, they carrying it. So I just kind of like get to sit back and we get to like throw the ball back and forth, even though it's not our responsibility.
Yeah,
I guess we just naturally.
But it's like a natural thing. I mean, I don't know. When I was young, I think when you said I have ADHD, I'm glad I wasn't diagnosed because I wasn't about to be on no Ritalin now. I don't know what that would have done to me because I ain't about to be on nothing. Yeah. But like, I think my mom was like, I have to put her into something. She is off the wall because I was.
Wait, please keep that because the way that she. If y'all didn't hear it at home, there's a drill that's happening next door, and she was trying to be respectful. Anyway, keep going.
My mom had to put me in so many different things. So I got placed in arts, like being summer camp, do this, boom. And then even in high school, I was just like, I wasn't doing anything in the summer. I would go in summer school just to get extra credits so that I can have less time in high school and I'll have more credits in college. Like I just needed to be doing something. Like that's just kind of, so I have to learn how to sit down naturally.
And I like that you segued us. So where did dance start for you? Was it at a young age or did you blossom later into that?
Oh, baby, I know how to do not one lick of a step. Let me tell you something. I did not have any rhythm. Oh, I was terrible.
I couldn't sing that well. Oh, and that's funny.
See, okay, I did not have rhythm. My good two-step was the electric slide. The family functions, and that was about it. You know what I mean? There's a couple of videos out there that my mom has. Hope that doesn't come out. Yeah, no, and so I think it was just more of a hobby for me. I was a track star.
Come on,
Like
track. Where's
I
your
ran
events?
track, oh man, 4x1, 4x2,
Come on.
100, 200,
Oh, you was
100
really on the
hurdles.
sprint game
Like,
heavy.
oh man, we was in papers. Like we was
Come
like
on.
breaking records. And if everybody knows about Texas, I'm from, like I said, I'm from Dallas, Texas. We are nothing but a sports heavy
City, place,
a country at this
Country.
point. Texas
Oh,
is its own country. Lone Star. Hey. So basically, so I started off in that, and then it went music.
Oh, shut up.
And then it went music. And
you
so,
ain't never told nobody. Do people know this?
No, not in that aspect. I don't think not in that order. Not in that
Okay.
order. People don't know in that order maybe. But then it went to music because I was always writing. And so I was always writing poetry. My mom does music. My mom does
on.
poetry and writes and raps. And she would always like make little songs and be like, CO. That's my nickname. That no one in my family calls me Comfort.
What?
Everyone back at home calls me CO.
CO.
They'd
That's
be
a
like,
vibe.
CO, right? Rap this, tell it and show it to the family. And I'd
So-
be like,
go ahead.
so I had to go practice.
Wait, so was
and
you on the
practice.
flow
Oh,
side
yes.
or singing side?
Flow and singing side because she would love to do both of them. I was in gospel choir.
You
Like I loved it. I loved all the music, but again, dance was never. It was just something I did as a hobby because again, I wasn't really that good at it. And so I was just more so enjoying like watching music videos and teaching myself or something like that. Like that was where it really was. And so as my life was going, it was happening simultaneously. When I got hurt in track and field is when I think dance became like a little bit more of like this stronger, like I guess, avenue that naturally just started to move me.
Wild. Because
Yeah.
if anybody has ever seen you dance, which anybody who's watching has likely seen you dance. What? Like that,
Yeah, I
that looks
know.
like something that you would have been doing as a baby. They're like, oh, that girl got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had something, but it wasn't the two-step correctly. I'll tell you right now. That
something
electric
and it
slide,
wasn't rhythm.
that's what it was. Like it was, she had the passion though. It was like she was up. That girl good. That girl,
When your parents say you can do anything through God, which means maybe not this, but keep believing. Okay. So
Yeah.
at what point or what? I mean, you said after track, after you got hurt, but at what point did somebody first recognize that you was good? Did you see it in yourself, or did somebody was somebody like, yo, you kind of heat?
I think maybe once I just started practicing and started doing more and being around more people,
Yeah.
as people was just like, or I started loving my fashion and connection. I loved Aaliyah. I loved TLC. So I was always trying to dress like them. So we always had big t-shirts and I would cut up the t-shirts and I would just like try to be like,
Yeah.
So I think once I started like getting myself so connected to it and like artists and stuff, I think people are finally like, I think they, you know what, if more than anything, they started connecting, I think, to my energy.
Okay.
Because I think my same energy was placed in anything that I did. So this very high energy and inviting spirit, it was always in something. So everyone was like, ooh, we got to put her in here. Oh, can she join my dance team? Or can she do, you know what I mean? So it just turned into like me always being in certain spaces because I think I just had, I
But
guess
you was actually super good. Like, I feel like something's missing in the story. I'm like,
I don't know. I think I just got good.
Jeez.
I think I just got good because I just, like I said, I started emulating all these artists. Like I wanted to like, my talent shows had to be, I was a soloist. I was like, Mom, nobody wants to be in sync with me for my talent show, my 7th grade talent show. I wanted to do in sync.
Oh, literally. I thought you meant they didn't want to be in line with you.
No,
You meant NSYNC the band.
no, I wanted to be in sync, the band. Bye. It's gonna be me.
How you gonna be all 6?
I'm 5. And I was like, my mom was like, if nobody wants to join your little group, then you be your soloist. You will do it by yourself.
Come on, Mom.
And I was like,
Play all the roles.
okay. So I chose Justin Timberlake
Come on.
and I dressed like him. I had the hat with the bedazzle.
Which song was we
And
doing?
I did It's Gonna Be Me at Hutchinson Junior High.
Come on. And you did the choreo from the
I
video?
sure did do the choreo for the video.
Did you lip sync?
I did not.
Oh, so you was just...
I was just dancing.
Come on.
My mom recorded everything. So we have a video of that, and that turned I think that's the day I realized, I was like, oh, dance is interesting. Like this type of energy that I received from it. Cause I'm at this all Black Spanish and Latino school.
Bet.
And you know what I mean? And
And
so
you up there
everyone,
doing
and I'm
NSYNC.
up there doing NSYNC. Hands was like, the hell you up there doing right now? And they was like, oh, this kind of fire actually. Hold
Right.
on.
It was like,
Every
hold on.
little thing I do.
Right. I'm like, they
And
was
after
shook.
that, I became such like a popular kid in school, and
For doing
and I was still running track though. I was still doing like sports, but I was like, oh, this kind of sparked a little fire. And after that, it just everything was a talent show. Everything had to be simultaneously with.
But how
with track.
encouraging this story because of the people like me And like yourself, that think it has to come through. I was in dance recital since I was 5, and and
No,
you're
yeah.
quite literally on the exact same playing field / above. No shade.
Yeah.
A lot of not that it matters in the
Yeah,
rating of it
yeah.
all, but as far as like the journey, like it can look different, but lead you to the same space.
Yeah, it does.
As long as the drive, the hunger, the
Yeah.
joy is the same in it. Because I have a similar story with the music side. Long story short, every time I open my mouth, your boy was not great. Like
No.
my parents was like, oh, like you.
That boy good.
That was a good note. That one time. But it's like I just kept practicing, and I would just start
Okay.
mimicking. I would hear a riff, I would mimic it. I would do something, I'd mimic it.
See?
And I started literally just doing it more, and
Yeah.
it got better. And then eventually somebody was like, well, you actually can sing a little bit. And I'm like, you think so? I was like, we out here.
yeah.
But it's encouraging because
Wow.
almost, did you ever see this video that Lauryn Hill has out there of her
okay.
on Showtime at the Apollo? Did you ever see this? So when she was
Maybe.
younger, she did Showtime at the Apollo. You can go Google or YouTube this clip. And no offense, clearly she didn't sound great. She got
Okay.
booed off the stage. She was performing, on Showtime at the
Yeah.
Apollo, they can boo you.
Yeah.
They can kick you off the stage. So,
Sandman was no joke.
man, so she's singing, she's getting booed off the stage. She literally gets booed off the stage. And she's
Okay.
young, and she's not hitting great notes. Like, she's really not doing great, like, for real.
Okay.
But this is Lauryn Hill. We talking about grew up to be the GOAT. But then you look at Jasmine Sullivan, and as a little kid, she blowing people out of the water.
Yeah.
The point is,
Yeah.
everybody got their own road. And it's
Yeah.
encouraging to hear yours, because I would have thought it would have been like, oh, I was in dance when I was younger. And then I was like in like street battles, and we was like crumping and going off. Like
That didn't happen till later.
and that's so
Yeah,
fascinating.
that didn't happen till later, because then that is how it got into battles and world,
Man.
because I hung out with nothing but boys after
Yeah.
that. Like, I was such a tomboy,
Yeah,
very such a tomboy. And then I started battling people or learning what it is, and you got served, it got so popular, you know what I mean? And so it was like, oh, what is this energy? Like
Then
crumping,
Rise
came out, and it was all of that
Yeah.
stuff. And so, yeah, it was about being a part of a crew. Everything for me, I think the reason why, and I would say trust the process, like you said, like, you know, that similar story you just said with the Lauryn Hill and Jasmine situation, like everyone had their own different paths. They both came out amazing and great in what they did. And one maybe had to work harder in certain circumstances than the other, which I feel like was my tell story. I wasn't great growing up, and then I just loved it enough to just want to work on it myself, not necessarily get taught by anyone, because dance was expensive.
Fair. Okay.
Dance was expensive. My family wasn't about to be putting me in like these
Classes
things
and
all the
everything.
time, but they would give me a taste of stuff. They'd be like,
Right.
summer school here, 2 weeks here, or this. So I was always in something for
Okay.
a little bit, just to
Dance
get
related or just in general?
just
Like
in
community?
general. I was in band. I played the clarinet. Like,
Come
I
on,
still got the clarinet. I was always first chair or second, because they was always trying to fight me for the first chair. Oh.
I would like, that reminds me of Drumline. I would like to challenge.
I would like to
whatever. P1. Yeah.
But
that's
yeah,
funny.
so it's like, and then I think I was just so consumed by community. So I think because I ended up having to be in so many different places. I've been to 5 different high schools. Like, my life has just been up and down with work and things. First of all, my family's dynamic. So I just had to always adapt.
Okay.
So I think me being in things and being in like battles or like dance, I think, or just sports in general, because I think dance is a sport.
Yeah,
So I think it was
100%.
easy to jump from track to dance, because it was
Right.
competitive, especially when I learned about the battle world. So I think
Right.
it just became such a place of community that I thrived under energy and people.
Vibe.
I believe, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so one thing led to another, especially out of Dallas. Like, not much comes to Dallas, you know what I mean? So you can be a little superstar in Dallas, and that was enough for me. I was like, look, I was a little superstar. I was like,
She said, CO, hit the
CO.
flow.
I was like, I'm doing well.
Okay, so would you ever venture, I don't know if you're doing this now,
Oh.
correct me if I'm whatever, would you venture into music now? And would you go by CO if you did?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have ventured into music already. I have tried multiple of times. So
Okay.
let's start off when I was 16.
Okay.
15 or 16, I was always dating a producer of some sort, some kid who thought they was a producer of some sort.
Ain't that sound like some of the community, but like everybody a producer. Yeah.
And like I said, I was always writing anyways, because my mom would give me the book because
Right.
of whatever I was going through, I would write. So I journaled a lot. And so I turned my journals into songs or raps or whatever
Okay.
the case may be. Anyways.
Yeah.
So yes, I did music, and I I had this record label that I was working with called Crystal City Records, actually, out of Fort Worth. And a guy named Boski, was my producer.
Yeah, it was.
But the thing is, I was only there to be, I feel like I was only there, how do I say this? Like I was only there to be the person who was going to be the voice, like when they were tracking samples. So they were tracking. So it was mostly just doing tracking. So they had a writer, they had someone or whatever. And so they wanted to sell.
You was like top lining.
So they wanted to like shop a lot of songs and ideas. And at that time, it was like Nicki Minaj and Kesha was just kind of getting popular. I'm 15, I'm like 16 or something. So it's like they wanted to like send like songs and tracks and ideas to them. But when they heard my voice on the track that they were doing samples with, they were like, why don't we just see if we can make you an artist? Yeah. And I was like, sure. All right, cool. Like, that's fine. You know what I mean? That sounds like a good idea. I was already kind of playing and making music before. So there's my name out there. And so they wanted to change my name and they would put a K instead of a C. So there is like some music out there, I guess maybe, that has comfort with a K. What's so weird? So like there's that moment in my life, but I was always doing music and trying something. And so I had music there. I was doing music with this other producer. And then like, so that was simultaneously, like, again, that's like 16, 17, 18. Okay. And then, but also dancing at the same time. And then so dancing hit off for me.
Right.
And then the comfort with the K, had to put that away. She went to sleep for a little bit. And then, I came back again and I started working with another producer named Billy Monroe when I was in LA. Amazing. And I was like, you know what? I still want to go back to music. I still love it. I still miss it. Yeah. So I played a track. I put a music video out.
Oh, what?
I put a music video out. It was called Lose Your Mind. Get it out your head. Lose Your Mind. Hey. It was called Lose Your Mind. I had tracked that. I made a song with this guy named Gus. We did work together. And then I made a whole track with Billy Monroe, maybe an EPK, like a 5-song EPK. I did that. That was a while ago too, though. And then but the thing is, I don't know. Something never
latched on the music?
Nothing ever latched to me. I always was so worried because by that time I was always already known as a dancer.
Right.
And so a lot of times people were getting a little bit scrutinized for being a dancer turning artist. You're not really an artist. You're just a dancer. Stay a dancer. But then no one ever knew my story that I was like, music was actually was pretty much first or at least simultaneous. But it just never like hit because either like producers would be like, oh, your voice sounds better as a rapper, not a singer. And so I would be like, let me train in my singing because I love writing songs. Right. So it was like all these different things that kind of like held me back and because I'm being more recognized in my dance that I think I should just only do dance rather than do music. And I think only this year, in the past, actually probably the past 4 or 5 years. Because right now, if you were to type Comfort Fedoke music, you would actually find at least 2 short music videos that I've done, the snippets of like me rapping.
And Sauce.
And now a new track that I have now, working with Beat Slayer. And now I'm finding back into my space and working with Beat Slayer. And it's called Sauce with Chalice and Jordan. You know what I mean?
Hey.
And it's a new track we're working on. And so now it's been like this new light in space that I'm finally finding for myself that I was like, I've always loved music and I would be doing myself a discernment to myself if I didn't at least try without any like worry and thoughts behind my head about what it is to be an artist.
Amen. No, I love all of that because that's been similar to my journey. When acting popped off first, I'm like, music was always first. And for me, music was always first. And people will always be like, oh, you're trying to do music now. And I'm like, no, I'm doing it officially, but it was always there. Yeah. But that's interesting to me because you was talking about being seen as a dancer and kind of not being accepted, or not accepted, but not kind of trying to stay in
not
lane.
Accepted. I don't think or respected as that. Respected, like, you know what I mean? Like,
but like, what do you? I'm personally curious. Like, do you ever trying to word this in a way that I want it worded? Do you ever feel like people viewing you as a dancer, just a dancer, is a pigeonhole, or are you kind of like, no, it's cool. This is part of my like stepping stone, or like has it become kind of like a hey.
It feels blocked. I feel blocked.
Okay.
Yeah. It's almost like a writer's block, or it feels like I can't get past
boxing
this.
Me.
Yeah, I'm being boxed into a space. I'm a character. I'm so all over the place, and I've always been all over the place. I've never had one love. You know the song? I'm like a bird, like I'm literally that song in its own retro. And so dance, even though it has been my language, like I always say, movement's my communication. Watch and get to know me. That's something I always say.
That.
So it's like that. Dance would always be my partner for that, and maybe my avenue or my path or my direction in, but it's not it's not my only voice.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would look at myself as a multiple personalities.
Yeah.
And a chameleon in that space.
Yeah.
And then so I feel like dance has, being seen as only a dancer just boxes me into a space where it tells me I can only do this, and I'm unhappy sometimes because I feel like, oh, I can only do this.
And that's what I wanted to get to, because I didn't want to push you in that direction. Because some people aren't that way where they're like, no, it's great. But I'm like, sometimes that thing that you know me for feels limiting to a creative person, because we have so many desires and avenues that we aspire to achieve that it's like, if you're only labeling me as a dancer or only as an actor, then I'm like, to the outside eye or ear, they're like, oh, you're just ungrateful. Like, you're Comfort, like you're from See Things, you've choreographed all these things, you've done so many projects. Like, you should be happy to be who you are. And it's like, that's not the issue. No. I'm happy, but I'm bigger than your limitations of what that means. It's fascinating thought, comes from your words. But okay. Yeah. With that said, I'm interested in knowing, we're gonna go back, but I want to jump forward because selfishly, I want to get to this because y'all, I don't know if y'all seen Wicked. I'm jumping because I want to know the other stuff that's in between, but that was in the past. The present is ever so beautiful. Y'all, Wicked, so phenomenal. This woman right here was associate choreographer on both. Yeah, we shot it in the same year. Which is wild in general. Which is wild. For people that don't understand how filming works. And I know as an actor. Being a big budget movie, filming one of them is an undertaking, okay? Like, that's a lot of work. But to do both of them back to back, one is a lot of work, but also makes a lot of sense. I kind of, like, especially when it comes to... It makes sense for continuity. For continuity. But as far as life and time away, that ain't no joke. I loved it. You loved it? I loved being away. Amazing. Okay, yeah. What was your experience? What was your takeaway? I have a lot of questions. Let's start with your experience. My experience. How was it? Also, sorry, I have so many questions. Great. Have you been an associate choreographer before? Was this your first time? No, I've been an associate choreographer before. And for those who don't know what an associate choreographer is, there's so many different ways to understand associate choreographer, but in the way that we take it is an associate choreographer is someone who maintains and also contributes to the choreography with the head choreographer of the film or of a job or of a show. Right. So we make sure we maintain the choreography or contribute to the choreography by being the choreographer when the choreographer can't be there. So then there will be moves and things that has come from the associate choreographer, not only just from the choreographer. And is there a difference between assistant and associate? Yes. So then an assistant choreographer. So an assistant, I love we're talking about this. And so an assistant choreographer, an assistant dancer is normally someone who just maintains what the choreography has laid out. So when it's done and set and placed, they hold on to what that is. No changes are being made unless it's being made by the associate and or the choreographer. So they just make sure to maintain it, hold on to the information that has been given, and hopes to be a help when it comes down to maybe the mass performance is happening. And we assistant helps with normally either maybe warm-ups or make sure that they, or make sure the choreographer is clean. The choreography is clean on the dancers and that it looks good on the dancers. And so and sometimes associate also does that as well. That's something the associate does. But I think what makes it different is the associate is going to contribute with the choreography and actually create the movement or change something. And then the next step is the choreographer being like, that can be kept or that's going to be changed. Okay. So that's just like the ladder. Yeah, no, that's a good breakdown because you hear these different titles. Yeah. And you're like, oh, cool. Like, they don't get their just due. Right. Because what we take away as an audience is like, oh, so-and-so choreographed. Kenny Ortega choreographed. Yeah. And it's like, cool. Well, that was his brain. There's a team of people. There's a team. It always takes a team. It always takes a team. And our head choreographer is Christopher Scott. Shout out to Christopher Scott. Fire. Christopher Scott. And I've worked a lot with him as an associate and as a co-choreographer as well, because there's also that. Because then a co-choreographer sits right below the choreographer as just someone who's like, I can take a whole piece away and he wouldn't touch it at all. Or they wouldn't touch it at all, whoever the choreographer is. It would just be, we'd be sharing a space and knowing that one person is like choreographing this scene or especially if it works well on TV shows. You know what I mean? Where it's like, this is
episode has been mostly choreographed or seen by ABCD because they're the co-choreographer.
Because I know on Glee, like we had Zach Woodley and Brooke Lipton.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I remember they were like, it seemed like Zach was like what was the terminology? Like
the head choreographer.
Yeah. And then I'm sure Brooke was
maybe
associate.
I think maybe Brooke was probably associate choreographer.
I'm sure she was.
She was probably associate. Yeah, no, I'm sure she was probably associate.
Yeah.
But I think unfortunately in the dance world and also I think the world in general, entertainment world, they're still trying to get their hands wrapped around that a little bit.
And what do you mean? Yeah.
I think because I guess some networks think that you're asking for more money if you're asking to say, give me my title this way. They're like, we don't want it. We just like, why do we just need this and that.
This person.
And that. We just need the choreographer and an assistant. That's it. You're like, oh no, there's levels to it. Just like if you read everything from the credits, you're like, there's an associate director, there's a cover, there's all these different layers and ladders to the main director or to the main DP or to the, you know what I mean? There's always, ladders to it. And I think choreography needs to be respected in that same way that there's a ladder of an understanding to that. And so
and it needs to be respected in that way. Because if you go on TikTok right now, people are doing like that's everywhere. So that goes to show you that the choreography has made a stamp. It's not just
no, it is. Dance, like I say, dance simultaneously works in the same space now. It's just about hopefully now it becoming recognized in like Academy Awards things or like it needs to be recognized in Academy space, and that's really gets a respect, you know what I mean?
La La Land would have scooped up if the choreography was recognized.
You know what I mean?
Like that year it was going crazy.
Yeah. So my experience as an associate choreographer, I think it was the craziest experience actually, because I didn't expect it. I helped Chris Scott in the skeleton crew. And so the skeleton crew, for those who know what a skeleton crew is, we put together a group of people that pretty much just helps you see the vision before the vision or the actual movie or anything even starts.
Kind of
or
like
it's
a
about
pilot.
to start. So it's like a pilot. Yeah, to an extent, like a pilot.
This is what it could be.
Yes, and this is what we want this scene to look like. So let's have like a blueprint, basically. Right. Let's get a blueprint out. And we need some bodies and helps to make that blueprint look good. Okay. You know what I mean?
And who watches that? The director and everybody are like...
Yeah, director watches it. We'll shoot it, and then he'll come and he'll take this blueprint and be like, either you work with us now on this job, but because this job was in London, not everyone could come with. You can just be a part of the skeleton crew. You can just say you was a part of helping this vision maybe come to life or whatever the case may be. And so we take that blueprint and then move it to another direction. So I was a part of the skeleton crew at the first, and then Chris hit me up and was like, so what would you ever, just like, relocate to London?
Knowing the answer, who gonna say no?
And I was like, yeah, like I would absolutely relocate. Like, what's going on? He was like, we shooting the movie, and would love for you to be a part of the team as, associate. And I was like, oh, absolutely. Like, just let me know when, and so I can get ready. I just ended up moving into a new space. I knew I shouldn't have moved into that space, but I just moved into a new space. And he was like, yeah, it's Monday, right? So this weekend. Oh.
So you got to move to London in a week. Not
for
even a week.
Year.
For a year.
For a year. This weekend.
That's entertainment for
you. Guess I'm leaving.
What'd you do with the space?
Sometimes I rented it out with some friends and people, and sometimes like people that I knew, because Lord, I'm not that person that can just let anybody stay in my house.
People be
just can't, because you gotta take your shoes off in my house, so I just can't let everybody in there, right? Respect it. And so went out there for a whole year and didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I worked closely with Chris, and our other associates that we had was Emilio Dosal and Will Loftus, and then we had our assistant Leah, who was from London there, and that's kind of how we started the team.
Man.
And
So I have a question. Why do you think, because as you're talking, I'm like, why don't we hear about these people? And it's no detriment or fault to the head choreographer. It's like, ain't nobody gonna shoot the head choreographer. Like, get your shine too, because you've been working just as hard to get to this point. But like, why don't you hear about the y'alls? Like, that's upsetting to me a little bit, because I'm like,
but you know what? Like, it is very interesting. Not everyone does this. So like Chris, luckily, is one of few that actually gives credit.
Amazing.
So like when he does his
Okay.
interviews,
Oh,
if
shout
goes
out.
to a lot of his interviews, he has been one of the ones who actually speak upon like who's been helping him on the team and who is his associates and stuff like that. So
Okay.
he has actually done his due diligence to actually do so in his interviews. But like a lot of networks or people, some people they care. They're like, oh wow, so it's not just you. That's amazing.
I think that's fascinating.
That's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And because others who don't ask the question, and
Yeah.
if there's some choreographers who don't speak about their team, then they will always assume that it was just them.
That person.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you hear, and this is no shade, but we always hear about Kenny or Tech. And I'm like, well, who is the team?
Yeah.
Because we know that you're not doing that by yourself. That's a whole movie set that you directed and choreographed. Ain't no way that it's just you. Like, who else is there? Like, I maybe because I'm in the industry, I've been fascinated by that. But that's cool. So journey-wise, as an associate choreographer, is it kind of like behind the camera on the film side? It's like, oh, I was a DP and I'm a producer, and you kind of work your way up to eventually being head choreographer yourself. Is that a goal?
Yeah, that is a goal.
Yeah.
I mean, like, luckily I have been able to, because of circumstances like this and because of being able to work alongside Chris on certain other jobs or other choreographers, I have been able to be my own choreographer on nice big jobs and things like that. Because, anytime you're a part of something, everyone then knows, or a director then knows, okay, you know how to run a set. Because you are an associate. Right. You understand, you are the closest thing to getting our choreographers. So it's like,
no, pause. That's huge. That was such a huge project. I'm sure you've done. Have you done other big stuff?
Crazy.
I imagine so.
I've been very blessed to have done other big stuff, but this one's the biggest.
And it felt like that being there.
Yeah, like this was definitely everything was crazy.
I watched BTS of like the sets.
Oh
that
my
they
god,
built.
everything was realistic. All the sets was realistic. Everything was just. Wow. It was a lot, but it was so beautiful because everyone who wanted to be a part of it wanted to be there. And we worked so closely. And as dancers, we tend to be the ones that get the closest to the artist.
The artist, that's so true.
Closest to the talent. And so we got really, really close to the entire talent. And so that's what just made like the experience, you learned quicker that way because they're their own, huge I mean, you know what I mean? They're huge in their own right.
Big
and
people.
It feels good to see how they humbled themselves in a space that's not theirs, which is the dance department. And so we had to just make sure our space was tight and we were like the safe haven for everyone. So everybody wanted to come to our rehearsals.
I was about to say, how many, and this is just out of pure intrigue for people that don't know how it's run, but also I'm curious, how many months or weeks or whatever, or a year, whatever, of rehearsal went into not y'all's. So you started back with a skeleton crew, but when the cast was cast and rehearsal started, how long from there to when you filmed?
So that was probably they started, I think it was like July to maybe like December, if I'm like maybe that little
it's like
bracket.
a 5-6 months rehearsal space.
So that little bracket of time, maybe a little bit before that, we were able to shoot things like Popular first.
I'm sorry, y'all were filming in winter in London?
Baby, we was doing way too much stuff.
I was like, it didn't look cold on the movie.
But it
y'all
was.
niggas was cold.
Cold as hell. And rainy too.
How'd y'all avoid? I guess there's like coverings.
No, there's these Emerald City was the sky. Like we had rain.
So y'all just had to like pause for rain.
Or just go.
Or just go.
Or just go. So we had a lot of rehearsal time, but sometimes not enough because there was just so much stuff to do. And then we would shoot, what we can. And then sometimes there was things that were being shot simultaneously. So I would have to go to set for this and someone else had to go to set for this and then meet back up in the rehearsal. Rehearsal would be happening at the same time. Like it was just, that's why we needed a big enough team to be able to like be in so many places at the same time. But it was amazing, frustrating, tiring, but also absolutely beautiful. And like, it was
such a good movie. Like I'm actually in amazement, like, because I'm like, yo, you was there. Like that's wild. Like that man. Wicked, which is typically, for a lack of a better example, projected as a more female space. And let me explain that. Like as a guy, they'd be like, oh, you like Wicked? But like, it was just dope. Like, I'm just sitting there being like, yo, that was gas. Like, the whole thing was fire. Okay, wait. question from producer Courtney. She hates when I do that, but I do it every episode.
I do whatever I want.
She says, she literally asked, was there a moment watching Wicked back that you were like, yo, I did that. Like I was a part of that. Like, what?
So there was this moment.
Oh, shut up. No. That moment?
Yeah.
Wait, elaborate.
Okay. So,
or can you?
I can, of course. And like I said, I'm thankful Chris, he talks about this in his interviews. So when it comes down to the Ozdas, I pretty much...
That's like a signature moment.
Yeah. So I pretty much worked very close with Chris, and he hit me up the night before we changed all the choreography that we thought we were going to show Cynthia.
And, that's exhausting.
Yeah, changed everything that we thought we were gonna do with Cynthia. And he was like, called me some crazy hour of the night and was like, "Can you come over? We need to fix all of this. I'm gonna do something different." I was like, "Sure, let's go." So I freestyled and created. We talked about the language that we want the alphabet to be. And so went into the new rehearsal space with Cynthia and was like, so this is what we're going to do. This is what we're doing. We talked. She kind of was combative a little bit about like what the movement is to her and needs to understand
combative
what it feels.
in a good way.
In
She's
a great
an artist,
way. Yeah. Combative in a great way. That's probably not the right word, but like just had her own opinion about like how she felt.
The integrity of it all.
Yeah, integrity of the movement. And was like, I don't know if it's me or this is the right way or this. And so we worked very close together along with Chris, but me and her worked very close together to just kind of like figure it out. Okay. And I kept building with her and creating on her and just finding new things and doing things. And so that is, Ozdas is very much my baby. And along with Chris Scott, of course, it's our baby, but that is one that I feel like I'm the closest to because I definitely like all of this. The little signature scream. Because it was all about like, Chris was explaining this in one of his interviews as well, where he was speaking about how, Alphaba is all about animals, right? She was about like connecting with animals. And so she is someone who's very intuitive to that, right? Yeah. And then so like this was like very like a bird and this had like those little moments. I don't think I had that in my head at first when we were first doing it, but I just couldn't help but like my movement sometimes has like an animalistic energy to it that I think started to like really resonate with Cynthia and this resonate with Chris as well.
For people that have seen it, we're talking about the
moment that she takes the hat. The moment she comes
solo
in,
dance,
her solo dance
that everybody starts doing,
and she starts crying. The most emotional moment in the movie. I feel like personally, I think that the turning point. I feel like in the movie as
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say if that was something that would.
And then
like,
they did that again at the end, didn't they?
Yeah. Or like it's crazy because it's now becoming
a thing,
and it came out of just freestyling and dancing and being with Chris and being like let's talk about what this movement is. It has to come from a place of freestyle and it has to come from a spot because, it can't be like she's dancing. It just has to be like she's moving out of spirit and she's moving from a place of...
And that makes sense why there would be that integrity pushback thing. It's because she's living with this character. You guys are trying to be in her body.
Yeah.
And so you have to like come together and be like, how do we speak?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that was such a beautiful, I'm so honored for that moment because that's where true artistry and true magic was made. Because she wasn't just like, yes, she was like, yes, maybe, and.
Ooh,
and that pushed me, as a choreographer and creator, and that pushed Chris and that pushed us. We were like, all right, let's keep figuring it out. Let's do this, and then or we'll just do it again, and then this time have a different way of.
That's so dope. So you're just at the premiere, and I saw your fit. Fit was fly.
Oh,
if you go on her Instagram, the fit was fly for the premiere.
Thank you.
You was at the premiere, and when was the first time you saw the movie?
I had a chance to see a screening of it right when VFX and SFX locked in picture. Okay. So I got to see it prior to it. We got to be in one of the Dolbys and just...
When you see what stays, the cutting room floor be on some other level. So to see what stays, you're like, yeah.
It was crazy to see it for the first time. And then obviously with everyone else in the space where all the energy is like screaming and singing and,
this was not supposed to be a Wicked interview, but it's just so fascinating. I know. Like it's crazy. So fascinating
because it's like it's my life now, and I think, but I'm also thankful that you asked me that because it's been such a ride. It's been so overwhelming for me to just want to at least talk about what it is for a person like myself as an associate to be a part of this and know that we had a voice in this in that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know what it is to be an associate or what it is
Right.
to be, you know, the background of and behind the scenes of some of these things, and that we play such an important part to it, not just, you know, only background. It makes, there's all these little other people that makes this movie so, you know, beautiful as it really is.
Right.
And so to be able to have this conversation, I'm really
Yeah.
thankful. So I'm glad you
Absolutely.
asked about it, because, you know, a lot of people
Yeah.
wouldn't know that. So it's
at
like,
all. And it's sad. And it's sad because it's like
Yeah.
nobody cares to, but they're there. People are putting in work. Where do you think little Comfort would have ever foreseen? I mean,
oh man.
I probably would imagine you would hope that you'd be successful.
Yeah.
But like to not, no shade, your words, to not be good at dancing, to being an associate choreographer on Wicked. Can we talk about God?
Yeah.
Because
And
what?
it goes right back around to what we said, that validation. I think that quote that you said in that beginning, like,
Yeah.
it's a good question, because I sit and just be like, man, God, you had this set for me from the beginning. I just got to continue to just like remind
Yeah.
myself of it, because I do
Right.
believe that it all happened for a reason. There was like
Man.
this guidance just led out for me, as long as I was taking the right doors or the right
Yeah.
ways or whatever the case may be. And seeing little CO be like,
CO.
you doing the electric slide to doing, you know, dancing through life.
How
like
beautiful.
it's crazy, like, to see A to B at this point in my life is still going.
Come on.
And so it's crazy to see what that is right now. But it is such a thing that I say, trust the process, because you just never know which way you end up going. You know what I mean?
It's
I
so
wanted to
encouraging.
go to the Olympics. I didn't want to be a dancer.
Why was our journey's been so aligned? That's really weird, because I was a
Oh.
professional gymnast, and I literally quit during, like, literally qualifications for Junior Olympics is when I stopped. So my
Stop it.
trajectory was the Olympics as well, before entertainment, which is wild.
Type.
And you was just on the running side?
Yes.
That's wild.
Scouted since I was in middle school.
I'm like, what?
Oh.
That's wild. Because the reason I'm having weird moments, because when we first met, we was like, the vibe.
We're
Like, something's real familiar.
Something's real. Something's real familiar.
I haven't met you before?
No.
You know what I mean?
that's
Like,
crazy.
But just to go back to the whole
Wow.
God of it all,
Yeah.
it's so inspiring. And I don't say this to have that like frou-frou podcast talk, but like some true heart-to-heart stuff. It's encouraging to hear how listening to God and trusting the process really results in more than you can have you could have imagined for yourself. Because I'm
Yeah.
sure, like I said, you aimed for success.
Yeah.
But who would think that you can't dance, and now you're on the biggest set in the world teaching people how to dance?
Yeah.
That makes me emotional a little bit. Like, that could literally make, if I sat here long enough in it, because it's just like the grandness of that. Like, I couldn't sing, and to think that like the first job I ever got on my acting side was Glee, where I had to sing and act. Like,
Were we
just
ever on the same episode?
probably we just didn't know each other. Was you ever on?
I was a
Dancing-
Trouble Tone.
Okay, because I was there with a lot of vocal adrenaline people.
Okay.
We were Warbler, the all boys school.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if we ever crossed.
Okay, maybe we
but
did cross.
every dancer and artist was on that set.
Oh
we
my
was all there,
God.
yeah.
But no, it's true. Like, to
but
like
what?
go from your same story, that you feel like we have very aligned paths,
Yes.
parallel lives. Like, to go from that space and then be like, no, I'm not going to be defined by
Man.
someone saying that this. I think we naturally didn't seek validation from anyone then. To go back, I love a good
full circle.
turnaround.
Yep.
I love a good full circle. I don't think we did, because if we did, we wouldn't have been,
No.
constantly making ourselves better,
Right.
regardless of what it seemed like we were going to be good at or
Right.
not. You know what I mean?
And for those of you listening, I'm like, the takeaway, if you missed it, is if you feel something innately inside of you and it don't seem to be adding up currently, trust the process, trust in God. You have no idea what's to come, because the amount of people that we see in LA that come and leave just because they get discouraged,
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to trust this process. And it encourages me, because I'm like, I love that you said A to B and not A to Z. Like, you're on, it's A to B right now.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more.
There's so much
Because in
more.
my head, it's like, all right, well, I did this and this. And it's like, well, I want to do this. Like, I'm getting older. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, nah, you have zero idea. A year ago, well, 2 years ago now, because you've done a whole year of filming. But 2 years ago, you wouldn't have known this was coming.
I did not know
Like,
it was
what?
coming.
It's that fast of trusting.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That fast. That's very true.
Side question for you. Because you have a massive heart, I feel like this is going to be a beautiful answer.
Oh.
What is the thing you would want people to know you for, take away from working with you, being around you? What's that legacy you want to leave?
That is a very sweet question. I guess naturally, what I naturally do, no pun intended, but pun intended, is making someone feel comfortable. Honestly.
Drop that mic, because her name is Comfort, if you didn't catch it. Continue.
It's, that's why it's like pun intended, non-pun intended, but, and being like very inclusive and just making someone feel like they're not alone, honestly. I think I'm constantly making sure that people know that they're not by themselves and they're not alone. It's a very lonely world.
I feel like Drew Barrymore, she'd be getting all into her interview. She'd be leaning forward. Because the thing I've always said, this is another line, I totally bombarded her thing. The thing that I always say, ironically enough, people say, oh, what do you feel like your purpose is? I hate that question, but my answer to it, I want people to not feel alone.
Yeah. Okay.
Like if I can be vulnerable enough to make you see or hear that somebody else has dealt with something similar.
Yeah.
Alignment again.
Alignment, always aligned, but that's what I say I would want to be remembered for, because I feel like I'm constantly giving space for people for that. So yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could go on for days and days and days. Comfort.
Titus.
This has been so fantastic. There's so many more questions.
I know, there's so many layers.
I know, there's so many layers. So many layers. But before we wrap this up,
okay,
I like to play a little game.
Oh.
And the game is...
Oh my God.
So we
I'm
just
very
went from
competitive. I don't know.
You ain't got to compete with nobody but yourself, but yourself for this one. But the game...
You make me
we done talked about a bunch of like beautiful spiritual God stuff, but we about to get a little ratchet right now.
I love layers.
This is called... We're going to call it another layer. This is called F, Marry, Kill, but we're not going to do it.
F, Marry, Kill. I
Do you know
know
this
that
game?
one, of course.
Okay.
Who doesn't know F, Marry, Kill?
Some of my guests ain't know this game.
Oh.
But we're going to do it with music, with songs. So you ain't got to be drug and shaded for killing some celebrity. Great.
Oh.
Okay, so we're looking out for you.
Okay.
But now we're going to come for you
God,
if you choose the wrong song.
Know. Oh, no. Oh, are you going to give me options?
I'm going to give you 3 options.
Okay, good. Thank God.
Yeah. They're going to be classics.
Okay,
and
hopefully I don't know.
And if you don't,
them.
that's
Hopefully
okay. If you don't know it, just go this. I don't know.
Okay,
Just do that,
can I go next?
Yeah, go with your hand, go like that. And I'll switch the song, and nobody will ever know because you didn't hear me just say that.
So wait, hold on. Okay.
Your first song,
Okay.
Brandy and Monica, Boy Is Mine.
Oh.
Okay, we know this song. Second song, Killing Me Softly, Lauryn Hill. Oh, hold on. She might already about to kill that one. I don't know.
I can't believe it. I love that song so much.
Okay, and then the third song, we're going to the back, going like back, is, I got options right here, but I'm going to choose Halo, Beyonce. Remember those hoes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, F, Marry, Kill. Which one? So the F represents the F word, but what that means in a song world is, okay, I'll pop that on, that's a vibe. And the other one is I can listen to it every day, that's Marry. And then Kill's like, respectfully don't need to hear it.
Okay.
Good luck.
Okay.
So Boy Is Mine, Killing Me Softly, Halo.
Okay. I'll immediately kill Halo.
Ain't no questions asked. Don't even feel bad.
They can go.
They can go. She has no remorse. It can go.
They can go.
That's a classic.
I'm sorry. I know. I'm so sorry. I really do. Respectfully, they can go. Because all them bees be out there. So I don't want to.
Man, respectfully.
Respectfully, they can go.
Right. Because apparently they killing people that don't give Beyonce her flowers.
I know.
According, allegedly.
I know. Lord, respectfully. I love honey.
I love the beehive.
And then
Killing Me Softly or Boy Is Mine?
I know. Okay,
F or
you know what? My spirit says I will marry Killing Me Softly.
Ooh, sure.
And I would
Boy Is Mine.
Boy Is Mine.
Vibe. Yo, Comfort, where they can find you at? Where you at?
You can find me on all the social media platforms. Yeah, at Comfort Fedoke. And that would be like either that's TikTok, that's Instagram, that's YouTube, that's all of it, just my first and last name. And yeah, and then Spotify, if you want to add me as your Spotify new artist, new music coming soon with Beat Slayer. And that's also Comfort Fedoke right there if you want to check out and stream our song Sauce.
And if you want to sneak and get into her past, look up that Comfort with a K.
Do not look up Comfort with the
I love it. Yo, this has been a big deal. I was excited. Obviously, just off of our vibes in Nashville, I was excited to talk to you more. But just in general, my whole family is Team Comfort. Like, we always been a fan. So it's just like dope to be sitting here with you in general. Thank you.
Fly guys out of public housing. They slow